What's up, y'all? So, I wanted to drop in really quick and do a live about relationships because I feel like a lot of men have it all wrong. You know, um, they got it all messed up. I talk to a lot of men, and I know a lot of men, rather. I have men in my family. I have men that I have worked with along the years, and I know a lot of men, right? And so when I talk to them about relationships and stuff, there's a few things, right? So one of the things is that some men put all women in the same category. So for example, if a man has like an auntie or a mother or sisters, or homegirls or women that they just know, they tend to place women in the same category, right? So, and a lot of times when we talk about relationships, it is based on your upbringing, your environment, the things that you've been exposed to. So, for example, if a man has been exposed to a woman that is promiscuous, or a woman that is a gold digger, that's going to be his perception. And perception is reality for a lot of people. So if this man, let's say he had an auntie and she dated a lot of people and she cheated on her husband or she cheated on her boyfriend and she was dating all these guys, that man is going to think that most women, if not all women, are operating in the same energy as his aunt, because that is, who he was exposed to. That's like the only person that he saw interact in a relationship. So a lot of times men will base their perception on the experiences that they've witnessed, or the closest things to them. And it's unfortunate because that's not the case. Another thing I want to tap on is, some men feel like the grass is greener on the other side, especially when it comes to dating interracial. you know some men, let's just say if it's an African American male, he may be like, oh well, if I date a Latina, you know I'm not going to have problems. Or women that are of this nationality or this ethnicity, I'm not going to have problems. Well, the thing is, a lot of men feel like, oh well, women are gold diggers. All women are gold diggers. Okay, let's just cut the stuff, right? All women want a man that's going to be a provider, and that's just what it is. So a man can't think that, like, oh well, because I dated black women, they all want money, or they're going to put me on child support, or you know um they just want the bag. All women want the bag, and a lot of women are self-sufficient and they don't depend on a man for that. But a lot of men have this perception that women just want them for their money. So let's just put it out there for the record that whatever woman that you get with, you're gonna have to provide for. Whatever woman that you get with, you're gonna have to nurture and cater to that woman. And it goes both ways. Some women cater to men as well. um Another thing that I wanted to tap on along those lines is, like, some men feel like, oh well, if I go out of the country and I'm dating a foreign woman, that I won't run into those issues. Well, that's not necessarily the case, because like I said, all women are looking for a man to be a leader, a man to be a provider, and that man to be the head of household. So it's just really important in relationships that men do the inner work too. A lot of times, the emphasis is placed on women doing the healing and women doing the inner work, but men have trauma too. And that's something that's not really talked about a lot. But men have trauma. Men have been cheated on. Men have been abused in relationships. Men have, been robbed. Men have gone through all types of things. Men have been um, like I said, cheated on. You hear stories like, oh, she went after my best friend. And so men need to heal from those types of situations as well. It's not just on the women. And I think society has it bad to where, they just feel like everything falls on the woman. And that is so not the case. So it is important to do the inner work. If you are looking for a relationship, or companionship, partnership, or even a marriage, like, you have to do the inner work. You have to dig deep and see, like, what are some of the traumas and some of the challenges that people encounter in relationships are that, again, how were you raised? Were you raised in a single parent home? What type of man or woman was, your role models coming up? And what's unfortunate is some men don't have role models. Some men don't have people that, they could look up to for inspiration to be like, you know what? He's a good man. I want to be like him. Or, he's been in a successful marriage, or he's been in a successful relationship for all this time, and take notes from that situation. And so what happens is a lot of times people, they just start pointing the finger and blaming each other. And a lot of times they blame the opposite sex. So you'll hear women bashing men, saying all men are dogs, or men only want one thing. And then you'll hear men saying, all women are gold diggers, or women are hoes, and things like that. But it really results to everybody needs to do the inner work. If you want a successful relationship, you have to first prioritize the relationship with yourself, and make sure that you've done the inner work and you've done the soul searching to overcome any obstacles or any childhood traumas or any relationship traumas. And that be the thing with people in relationships. A lot of times people bounce from relationship to relationship and they blame everybody else. They don't see themselves as the problem or the issue, when in actuality, like, if people would spend more time with themselves before trying to go into a situationship, things would last a lot longer. Another issue with relationships is, I'm gonna blame it on social media, and it's just the real. Like, we live, and I talked about this on another video, but we live in such a fast-paced society where everybody wants instant gratification. So you have the Instagram baddies, you have the OnlyFans, you have all these outlets, you have Hinged and Plenty of Fish and all these dating sites where people just think, they could get a quick one night stand, or, they could just keep switching partners. But at the end of the day, they still have a void. They still feel lonely because they haven't done the inner work. So it's so many factors that go into it. And then if you want to talk about, like, building a family, you just can't go into a situation and not know a person. And some people feel like, oh, well, we've dated for 10 years, so I know this person. My motto is, you'll never fully know a person. You really need to live with a person, sleep next to them every day to really fully know them. And even with that, like, you don't know what people experience in their childhood. You don't know what people have been exposed to. Have they seen healthy relationships? And quite honestly, most people have not seen a healthy relationship. A lot of people, they don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. When you have a disagreement in a relationship, what is your go-to? Some people can go to their pastor, they could go to marital counseling. There's different options that are available, but for the most part, people don't want to do the inner work, and they just want to blame the other person. So if you are out here looking for a relationship, you're looking for love, you first need to identify that within yourself. And then second, think about any traumas or any experiences that you have been through that kind of that will make that may make you look at relationships differently. And it's really sad today that I don't really hear about a lot of positive, successful relationships. Why is it so much infidelity? And again, I blame that on social media. You have instant gratification at the click of your fingers, at the press of a button, And you could be totally into somebody, but you see something that looks more appealing. And they say men are visual creatures. So, you know, whatever is attractive to that man, depending on his self-esteem and, you know, what he has going on, that'll determine like if he'll pursue another woman. But I hope everybody has a healthy relationship, you know. um yeah, it is unfortunate, the way things are going. And then, you know what's even more heartbreaking in when we talk about relationships, marriages, and things like that, is that some people bring children into this world, you know, whether they're married or not, you know, and they don't really know their partner. They don't know what type of traumas that person has been through. They don't know if there's substance use addiction in that family. They don't know if there's domestic violence in that family. You know, they don't know if it's a history of molestation or pedophilia in that family, and the list goes on, you know. So it's really imperative that you know your partner. And like I said, you could never fully know a person, even if you live with them, you sleep next to them. People are secretive, people are very private. So just the best of luck to anybody that's in search of a relationship. But again, the most important relationship that you'll ever have in life is a relationship that you have with yourself. Some people don't know themselves. You know, what would you do in certain situations? You know, if you caught your man or your woman cheating on you, what would you do? You know, and again, it's so unfortunate because a lot of people are behind bars or have to take like domestic violence classes or anger management classes because um they don't know how to handle their emotions. They don't know how to handle their rage and you know, their anger when they encounter a situation that makes them unhappy. So it's just important to do the inner work and focus on you before you decide to get into a relationship. So that pretty much concludes what I want to talk about today. Thank you all for joining. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I will be doing more videos. Thanks for tuning in, but I'm out.